Are you bored of Minecraft's default weapons? Do you want something more spicy for your world? Do I have just the thing for you? I introduce to you the Godweapons Datapack, adding, in the first version, 3 very cool unique weapons that are quite powerful as well, to your Minecraft game, without any mods. The Godweapons Datapack is a datapack for Minecraft version 1.21.4 that you can install right into your world at your own command. If you've never used datapacks before and you don't know how to use them, I'll be linking a video in the description that goes over how to add datapacks into your world. That being said, let's get right into what I have cooked up for you. The way you can obtain these powerful weapons is with tokens. All you do is you grab one of the tokens and you just eat it up. Once consumed, you'll have this weapon in a hidden inventory that you can access at all times. Even if you've died, you will never lose this weapon ever again. All you do to get it in your inventory is type /trigger godweapon and you'll show all of the god weapons that you have unlocked. All you do is you open your chat with T and you click on whichever god weapon you want to have, and there you go. It pops right into your inventory. First god weapon I've added is the Slimy Steppers. These boots give you extra speed and some extra hearts, as well as just being very strong armor in general. It's basically just protection for armor. It also has extra projectile protection, meaning you don't take as much damage from arrows, but you do get knocked back quite far by projectiles. As stated by the name Slimy Steppers, these boots give you slime-like abilities, meaning you can jump pretty high. You can jump over 7 blocks high with relative ease very quickly. You can gain height, so climbing a mountain with this is really no problem. Now I know slimes normally do take fall damage, but in the case of the Slimy Steppers, you take absolutely none. But there's more than just these passive abilities. It has a very active ability you can activate with ease, because the Slimy Steppers allow you to ground pound. All you do to ground pound is you jump up into the sky and you press shift while airborne. If you get enough speed, you can easily ground pound and activate the ability, which kind of looks like this. Say you're being attacked by a horde of zombies, you can very easily make sure that they don't get anywhere near you and bounce them away with just one ground pound. You also get just a little bit of absorption health for about a second, so that maybe just on impact you can tank a little bit more damage. You can also just spam the ability quite rapidly, so it's pretty strong. One limitation with the data pack is that this doesn't work on players, because unfortunately player data cannot be easily modified within Minecraft unless you use mods. So players do take a little bit more damage than mobs, but they don't get bounced back, unfortunately. But if this ever changes and I find out a way that works in the way that I deem fit, then I'll definitely be adding this. But mostly, it is just very fun to play around with. Watching zombies fly away at an instant is very fun. So yeah, that's the Slimy Steppers. Next up, we have God Tamer. Once again, you type trigger God Weapon and you click on the weapon you want to get it right in your inventory. God Tamer is essentially a modified trident, and you'll immediately notice while I'm holding it that I am incredibly slow. But you don't need to move around with God Tamer yourself. It moves around for you. When throwing God Tamer, you'll be teleported right to wherever it lands. Not only that, but on impact, you'll be granted immunity and speed and jump boost for 2 seconds. It does take a little longer to get it back, so you have a slight window that you can still be vulnerable and don't have God Tamer in your hand to attack with. That's to make it not too overpowered, but it is still a very strong ability, especially being that it's basically an infinite ender pearl that also does quite a lot of damage. It's strong enough to basically insta-kill every basic mob in the game, and it even adds fire damage if you miss. Because it spawns lightning, it can also be used for things like charging creepers. There's some pretty neat extra mechanics that are kind of a little bit more obscure as well. But mostly, it is just an incredibly powerful weapon. Say you land somewhere you didn't mean to land, like a lava pool for instance, you have just ever so slightly time to escape with your damage immunity. You just start taking damage afterwards, but you can just throw the weapon again, and you get 2 more seconds of immunity, meaning that you have slightly more chance of escaping a deadly fate. And then last, but certainly not least, this is by far the most complicated of the bunch, although it is still incredibly fun to play around with. It's called the Sizeificator. Once again, we type trigger Godweapon to get it, and click, and there we go. This is the Sizeificator. It comes in 2 items. It comes with a helmet and a remote. The remote allows you to switch between sizes. You start out as small, and with just 1 click you can become big. Being small has some obvious benefits. Because you're small, you can fit through 1-block gaps without any issues. It allows you to jump 2 blocks high as well, because you're small and you're lightweight. But also, because you're so lightweight, if you press shift while falling, you get the slow falling effect, meaning that you take no fall damage at all. But it has one more thing. You can very easily fit through 1-block gap, but say you want to become even smaller. That is totally possible. While shifting and then jumping, it allows you to get incredibly small for a short amount of time, fitting through even the tiniest spaces. I mean, I'm less than half a block tall. It does have a slightly more lengthy cooldown on it, so you can't spam being super small anytime, but it still lasts long enough to get through some pretty nasty situations that you might find yourself in, and hide between the cracks of the world. Being big, on the other hand, might not have as many useful abilities, but still some pretty niche tricks you can apply. Being big has some passive abilities that always apply, like you have a lot more range for placing blocks, I mean a lot more, so this one will definitely be fun for builders. You're not quite as fast, although you're still faster than a regular player. It looks a bit goofy because you're quite big, but you're definitely still faster than a regular player. You can jump up 2.5 blocks because you're tall and strong, and you can just reach mobs from further away because your arms are long and you're strong and big. But that's not all it has to offer. Just like the Slimy Stepper, it can jump really high, but not just at any moment. While pressing shift and then jumping, you get an extra jump boost, meaning you can boost yourself up quite high. Now, you're very slow while doing this, so it's mostly just for gaining height and not moving forward at all. So you can't quite reach as far as with the Slimy Stepper, but it's still good enough to get across diagonal blocks, or just move a block forward into a block higher up, so it's still quite a useful ability. While sneaking, you do get a slight fall damage reduction. You get an extra 10 blocks of not taking any fall damage while being big, but it's not quite as good as being small and getting no fall damage at all while sneaking. But it's still decent enough to break your fall if you're not falling down too far. So yeah, these are the first 3 god weapons that I'll be adding to the data pack and that you can play around with in your world whenever you want. And combining them as well allows you to get some pretty cool combinations of weapons that might break the game completely. Okay, maybe not completely, but they're definitely still very strong. But how do you get these tokens? There are currently 2 ways that you can get tokens. One is with commands, and one is actually in survival with crafting recipes. Crafting recipes are enabled by default, so this is the setting you'll most likely be having in your world. So if you don't want to mess around with commands and just use the data pack in its default state, that is completely possible. Each token has its own crafting recipe that has some pretty tough to get items. I mean, these weapons are quite strong, so they also have some pretty tough recipes. That's to make sure you don't really break the game at the start, and you can actually play this data pack as if it's just a normal part of the game. The crafting recipes will just show up in your crafting table, so you don't have to go and look them up. They're right there at the beginning of your search, so they show up very easily. But say you do want to get them at the start of the game, or you just want to play around with them in creative or whatever you want, and you don't want to spend lots of time crafting these items, then you want to use commands. Now obviously, because it's using commands, you can only do this when you have commands enabled, or you are an operator on a server, and that is the only way you modify the data pack otherwise. All you need to do is type /function and then token, and you can pick whichever god weapon you want. If you press enter, you get a token given to you in your inventory for you to use right away. All you do is eat it up, and it should be right in your list of god weapons. There is some other functionality in the configuration, like disabling crafting recipes, or disabling the consumption of the tokens, as well as some other tricks like giving yourself all of the weapons, or removing all of the weapons from everyone or yourself. If you want to find out what all of the commands do, just type /function config help, and you get a list of all of the different commands. There is one more thing you can do, and that is if you want to get your tokens back out of your inventory and you don't want to have the god weapon owned anymore, or if you own multiple and you want to give someone else the god weapon, you can get back the token by typing /trigger trade god weapon. This command might be changed in a future version. I'm not sure I will change that yet now. Trade God Weapon is a remnant from an older version, but I use the same command to trigger this. All you do is type /trigger trade God Weapon, a menu pops up that shows you how many of each God Weapon you own, and just like getting your God Weapon, you can click on whichever one you want to get the token back off. You click on the one you want to take away, you click on confirm if you're sure you want to get the token back, and you get your token back right in your inventory. As you can see, because I only owned one Slimy Steppers, and because I now have the token back in my inventory, the Slimy Steppers disappeared right away from my body, because you can't use it if you don't own it. That's all I have to offer for now for this data pack. I hope you'll have very much fun playing around with it in your world. And if you'd like to stay updated for future updates to this data pack, because I will be adding many more god weapons in the future, feel free to subscribe so you stay tuned for future uploads relating to the data pack, and you can get all of the god weapons as soon as they're available. I'll also be using this data pack in a server I'm hosting tomorrow. I'll be streaming it on my Twitch, so if you're interested in checking that out, make sure to follow my Twitch, linked in the description. And also, if you have any questions about the data pack, or any questions about future updates, or whatever relating to the data pack, feel free to comment below, or you can join my Discord server. It's also linked in the description, and you can ask me whatever you want to know about the data pack. But that's all for now. I hope you have fun playing around with these wacky weapons, and I'll see you next time. Have fun. Bye-bye.